All right, good evening, East Hampton Town Board. We're live on Channel 22. We are streaming to YouTube. The phone lines are open. You may begin your meeting.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board meeting of Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. Michael, if you could please read the roll call.
Councilmember Flights, Deputy Supervisor Lease.
Present.
Councilmember Rogers.
Present.
Councilmember Ian Calder-Piedmont. Supervisor Kathy Burke-Gonzalez.
Present. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight we had planned to have 3 public hearings, but the ADU hearing had to be canceled, and it's being renoticed tonight and rescheduled for March 5th, as we had not given enough notice for that hearing. And that'll be followed by 2 other hearings. One is a grant of scenic and conservation easement. Actually, they both are grants of scenic and conservation easements. That'll be followed by public portion and then resolutions. I just wanted to say, Councilmember Flight could not be here tonight. He had to go back to the UK as his dad is very ill. So we send prayers of strength for Tom and his family. So let's first start, though. We've got Hugh King here.
Okay, the town crier is here. It's Samuel Fishhooks Mulford. Okay?
Say that 3 times fast.
Samuel Smith, no, I can't. Captain Mulford built a wharf, up at the Northwest. That was one of the first landing places where goods went in and out years ago. He also built a warehouse up there. And by the 1770s, though, it was so busy up there that the water wasn't deep enough. So that's why they built the wharf at Sag Harbor in 1770, okay? But Mulford was involved in a few other things, okay? He was elected in 1705, he was 61 years old, and he was elected to represent Suffolk County in the General Assembly in New York. During the time he was in the Assembly, he fought for several things. Here they are. A fair representation for Suffolk County in the Assembly and a just tax quota. A port of entry close at hand so that the residents of Long Island could trade with New England and the mother country without first journeying 100 miles to New York. You couldn't send your things directly to Connecticut. You had to go to New York first. But here's the one that got them. Freedom from the law that put a 5% tax on whale oil and forced whalemen to take out a license. Okay? Now, to protest the tax, Captain Mulford made his first trip to London, 1706, and from all indications was successful, for nothing more was demanded or paid during the remaining years of Lord Cornbury's administration as governor of New York. Okay? However, when Governor Hunter shows up, the tax then was revived. Hunter decreed that the whalemen should pay 1/20th of all whale oil and bone gathered from either drift whales or those captured in boats, and furthermore that this share should be taken to New York City. Well, Mulford said no. Well, first of all, you can't tax us because we had no say in how this tax was being done. You know what he's starting to talk about. Taxation without representation. This is 1706, way before the Declaration of Independence. So, of course, Mulford and his sons didn't follow that rule, so they were arrested and put on trial. The court battle went on for some time without resolution. So then Mulford decided he's going to go back to London. Okay, and he's going to grieve in front of the British government. And he was 72 years old, so he sneaks off, and he supposedly winds up in London. And because he was at the gates of the King's Palace, he was unable to get in, and he was afraid that his money was going to be taken out of his pockets. So he sewed fish hooks in his pockets, and the next day, when somebody reached in, he caught them and he turned them over to the authorities. Okay? Now, is this story true? Well, Did George Washington chop down the cherry tree?
Yes.
I don't know. Did that woman throw the pudding down the hill, the Battle of the Pudding Hill? The story's told because it really shows Yankee ingenuity. So, Ben Mulford, he was expelled twice from the assembly. The first time he was promptly reelected. The second time, at the age of 76, they threw him out again. He decided that was it. All right. So this is going on now before the American Revolution. So East Hampton has had two historic events before the American Revolution: the election of East Hampton Town trustees, a representative government, and Mr. Mulford talking about basically taxation without representation. That's it. See you next time for the Articles of Association.
Thank you, Hugh.
Okay.
Okay, Michael, if you could please read the first meeting notice.
The public hearing will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV, LTV, Channel 22, and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person, but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person or by agent or by attorney or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, 11937. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to ehampton@ehamptony.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk at the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town clerk's website for any changes and for updated information. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that pursuant to section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton, New York, will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement in the town of East Hampton. Grantor, Hampton LN LLC. Type of easement, scenic and conservation. Date of easement, December 5, 2025. Location, 31 Hampton Lane, Amagansett. Suffolk County Tax Map 300-174-05-18. Reviewing Agency Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to address the board on this matter? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Motion to close.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Michael, if you could please read the second meeting notice.
Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that pursuant to section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of Town of East Hampton, New York, will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, on Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, concerning the matter of the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the town of East Hampton. Grantor Joseph Marcari and Kim Stoller. Type of easement, scenic and conservation. Date of easement, November 20, 2025. Location, 20 Bendigo Road, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-152-1-11.3. Reviewing Agency Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Motion to close.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So those are our public hearings for tonight. We have one speaker signed up, Loring Bolger. Come on down.
Okay. Hi, I am here to thank
Can you
you.
just say your name for just.
Oh, right, sorry. I'm Loring Bolger, Springs resident.
Thank you.
East Hampton resident, which is more applicable here, because I'm here to thank you, Kathy, and the rest of the board for the reformation of the Latino Advisory Committee. This is the perfect time to do this, and Kathy, I don't remember where I heard you say this, but it was so right that we don't have different communities. We have one community, and this is a segment of the community. And I have seen time and again the Latino community taken advantage of, sometimes by their own people, in terms of representation for their rights, for housing. They buy things. I know several people who bought in quotes, houses that they did not own. And they went through a terrible period of disillusionment, and it was more than that. They felt really diminished by these things. So I know there's ICE, and that's an overwhelming consideration, but there's limited things we can do there. But there are a lot of other things I feel that this town can do through governmental advocation to make people's lives better, and I thank you for that. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Lauren. And thank you for serving on
Happy to.
the committee.
I hate to leave you. I feel like
For those that at home, Lauren is the only person here tonight after Hugh King left.
yes, he abandoned me.
Matthew, is there anyone on the line for public portion?
Yeah, we have one caller on the line. I'll mute them now.
Hello,
Call-
good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. This is David Buddha. I'm calling in for two reasons. One, and I guess I'll direct this. I know you're adverse to answering questions during public comment, but David, I'll give it a shot anyway. I see that there's a resolution tonight, number 232, titled Sports Courts Construction and Resurfacing Requirements Contract, which is you're going to be allowed to go out to bid. And I've also reviewed the 2026 capital plan, which I see does provide this year for the expenditures for the Seal Recreation Facility, 1 basketball court and 8 pickleball courts, as well as at the Abrams Path Recreation Facility, a new pickleball courts and new IA sanitary system. I also know that there's been talk in the past about expenditures for the YMCA resurfacing of the basketball court, which also serves double duty as a pickleball court. So my question is, what precisely is this resolution authorizing bids for sports courts construction and resurfacing? Which of these various capital plan elements of recreational court facilities is this bid going to actually implement this year? And if you can answer that, David, I'd appreciate it. If not, I'll just go right on to my second comment.
It's still to be determined. Potentially, it could be for all three or none at all. But it does allows the town to actually save taxpayer money when it comes to resurfacing and making sure some of our playing surfaces are safe and repaired or constructed as new. It's very similar to what Southampton has done. So that is still be determined based on who comes back on this bidding process then too.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me follow up with a totally different comment. Lauren made mention of one community, and that is very much true and very poignant when it comes to the gross tax disparities in tax rates implemented by the diverse school districts that we have within the town of East Hampton. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there has been publication in Newsday of the renewed, this would now be the third attempt to have the Southampton School District and the Tuckahoe School District merge. So there was a development where Southampton has approved the expenditure of hiring a professional company to propose, to structure the details of a proposed merger so it could be presented perhaps in the future to the taxpayers and voters of those two school districts. This town really is one community, and yet we have such disparate tax rates that is truly discriminatory for those people who happen to live in the Springs as opposed to the low school tax districts of particularly Wayne-Scott and Amagansett, and to a lesser degree, Montauk. What, if anything, can the town do? Although it's not your responsibility, you certainly can venture into the waters and possibly do something to facilitate a merger of school district study.
David, we gave you the response on the resolution for the sports resurfacing contracts. I'm not going to engage in a conversation about potential consolidation. I think that's something you need to bring to the school boards.
All right, I agree that that's where it should go, and I'm just maybe taking an opportunity to use this public forum to alert everyone to the fact that it's really much a very important idea that needs to be pursued for the benefit of our community as one whole, so that we can unify our school tax districts to provide a single school tax rate. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Matthew, has anyone else joined the line?
No, we have no additional callers.
Okay, so we're going to move on to resolutions.
It is my pleasure to offer Resolution 2026-217. This is approval of warrant number 1B, approval of claims for $2,307,182.20, and the utility warrant 1B for the amount of $61,564.40.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 218 is a notice of public hearing to amend Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code and modify the requirements applicable and accessory dwelling units. This public hearing will be noticed and then held on March 5th. Turn pages. March 5th, 2026.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 219 is authorized payment 2025 for an invoice to Emerald Equipment Services. This is for the rental of the grinder, and and the town board does authorize a payment of $4,500. It's dated 12/22/25.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 220 is a certified arborist continuing education program where we're going to be authorizing two of our land stewards, Andrew Gates and Andrew Drake, to attend the symposium. The financial impact is $250.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 221 is accept a proposal for the Lee Hayes Park septic upgrade design. This comes from a proposal from Elke McLean from December 3rd, 2025, and the amount is $7,000.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 222 is accept bid EH25-058. This is for the annual generator maintenance contract for Commander Power Systems Incorporated.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 223 is 2025 budget modification for the Highway Department. For year-end snow removal costs, we're decreasing budget lines for subcontractor costs, $21,000, road surfacing material in the amount of $30,000, and increasing the budget line for subcontractor costs, snow in the amount of $51,000.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 224 is a budget modification for sanitation department. This is for year-end hauling costs offset by an increase in revenue received, increased revenue budget lines for solid waste fees in the amount of $155,250, and an increase in the expenditure line for subcontractor costs in the same amount.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 225 is 2025 budget modification for aquaculture. This is for fire alarm repairs, decreasing full-time salaries in the amount of $2,190, and increasing budget line for other for the same amount.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. 2026-226 is approval of supplemental grant funding for the New York State Center of Clean Water Technology for remote IA monitoring extension, whereas Town of East Hampton funded this installation of automatic monitoring devices for 2023. The town board is now going to provide, CCWT provided a proposal to the town dated 1/5/2026 to continue the monitoring for additional year of data collection and expansion to include 4 additional sensors for a total of 16 sensors for the amount of $167,750.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2026-227 is a resolution making a determination pursuant to the State Environmental Review Act. This is for the dwelling of the Carl Fisher House and Annex, where the town board proposes to perform historical restoration work and improvements to the property to restore the structures to make them suitable for public access and bringing them up to current fire, building, sanitary codes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Annual maintenance for town clerk licensing system to Edmund Gov Tech Incorporated 2026. The financial impact is for 2 budget lines, one in the amount of $2,722.74. The other budget line is $680.68.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 229 is amend resolution 2025-146 for EH 25-041. This is for the annual drainage contract A, B, and C. They're updating the line item for Discover for line item number 20.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 230 is a notice of bidders for EH 26-005. This is for the mobile food concessions for select beaches for 2026. The bid is available January 22nd, 2026. The bid is due back February 12th, 2026. Please contact the purchasing department at 631-324-4183 with any further questions.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 231 is a notice of bidders EH 26-007. This is the disposal site for ground leaves. The bid is available 1/22/26. The bid is due back 2/5/26. Please contact the purchasing department at 631-324-4183 if you have any questions.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 232 is a notice of bidders, EH 26-008. This is sport courts construction and resurfacing requirements contract bid, available 1/29/26, and the bid is due back 2/26/26. Please contact the purchasing department if you have any further questions.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 233 is the set bid, EH 25-057. This is for food service and kitchenware items, December 2025 to Sam Tell and Son Incorporated.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 234 is authorized the ESRI, which is the Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated 2026. This is for GIS information for the total cost not to exceed $42,200.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 235 is a proposal for Oak Grove Cemetery, whereas the town board continues to work on the said project to expand the Oak Grove Cemetery. Bistro Materials has a proposal dated December 16th, 2025 in the amount of $21,890.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 236 is the approved facilities use agreement for training for the YMCA for the YMCA for the Aquatic Center for 2026. So this is the town of East Hampton can use the facility agreement to utilize for the YMCA for the junior lifeguarding, NIPPER programs, lifeguard training, and condition programs Sundays from March 1st, 2026 to June 21st, 2026 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at no cost.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 2026-237, which is a notice of public hearing for the Town of East Hampton Community Housing Fund First-Time Homebuyer Down Payment Assistance Program for 2026. The Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on February 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. So that this matter may be heard. And this is to solicit comments from the public on the continuation of the First-Time Homebuyer Down Payment Assistance Program. The First-Time Homeowner Down Payment Assistance Program provides loans of up to $30,000 on a first-come, first-served basis to the extent of available funds, totaling $600,000 for 2026 from the Community Housing Fund towards the down payments on the purchase of a one-family, two-family house. one-family or two-family house, townhouse, or condominium, meeting maximum sales price limitations currently at not more than 1.883 million to purchase who meet eligibility requirements. And so this public hearing will be held on February 5th.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 238 is to schedule a public hearing for a grant of scenic and conservation easement at 43 Marine Boulevard in Amagansett. This public hearing will take place also on Thursday, February 5th at 6 p.m. to hear comments concerning the following grant of a scenic and conservation easement. The grantor is George and Anastasia Gavalax at 43 Marine Boulevard, Amagansett. The reviewing agency is the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-239 is to create CM Fund CHOP 2026 budget, whereas at the end of each fiscal year, the CM Fund, which is the Community Housing Opportunity Fund, referred to as CHOP, concludes with a zero balance. And whereas the CHOP is the appropriate vehicle to continue to support affordable housing projects and their expenses in the fiscal year 2026, now therefore be it resolved that the following budget is hereby approved for 2026. Listed below is the budget account numbers, what they are for, and the amounts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-240 is the appointment of part-time tax cashier in the tax receiver's office for Marianne Miller. Resolved that Marianne Miller is hereby appointed to the part-time position of tax cashier in the tax receiver's office at the hourly rate of $25.94, retroactive to January 13th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2026-241 is a secret determination to classify action, assume role of lead agency, and adopt a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA for proposed amendment to Chapter 255 zoning. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton consider a proposal, local law, amending Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code, Section 255-120 definitions. This is regarding new affordable multiple residence use. Whereas the intent of this amendment is to provide for the creation of new land use type in the town code, which will facilitate the creation of additional much-needed affordable housing in the town. Whereas pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, the Planning Department of the Town of East Hampton prepared a long-form environmental assessment form, EAF Part 1, considering the proposed zoning code amendment. Whereas the EAF has identified the proposed zoning code amendment as a Type 1 action pursuant to SECRA and the regulation provisions of the appropriate New York State chapter. Whereas the town board has identified no other involved agencies and shall act as lead agency and proceed in an uncoordinated review. And whereas the town board as lead agency has caused to be prepared a proposed EAF Part 2 and Part 3, whereas the town board as lead agency has thoroughly evaluated the aforesaid EAF Part 2 and Part 3 and agrees with the contents thereof, and that proposed changes to the town code do not have the potential to negatively impact the environmental resources throughout the town and are intended to increase affordable housing opportunities. Whereas the town board has considered the proposed zoning code change and EAF and concludes that the local law, if adopted in whole or in part, will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton finds as follows. The Town Board does hereby classify the action as a Type 1 action. The Town Board does hereby assume the role of lead agency and proceeds to a coordinated review. The Town Board does hereby adopt the contents and conclusions set forth in the attached EAF Part 2 and Part 3. Supervisor of the town is authorized to complete and sign the determination of significance of the EAF Part 3, declaring as set forth therein that the action will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and the town board does hereby issue this negative declaration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-242 is to amend urban renewal map EH6-2, urban renewal parcel 16, to allow for the abandonment of part of Winslow Avenue. The town board held a public hearing on October 16, 2025, and on January 8, 2026, for the proposed modification of the urban renewal map I mentioned above, to allow for the abandonment of the easterly portion of Winslow Avenue. Whereas the town's consulting engineer reviewed the proposal and had no objections, whereas the town's planning board agreed with the engineer's assessment and they have no objections, whereas the proposed modification is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, and the applicant and planning department have prepared an environmental assessment form, and whereas the town board did review the EAF and agrees with the conclusions, whereas the town board finds the proposed modifications to be reasonable and appropriate and in keeping with urban renewal plans in which it is located, resolved that the town board hereby adopts a negative declaration pursuant to Chapter 128 of Town Code and the provisions of SECRA with regard to the proposed modifications to the old filed map.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-243 is to adopt local law amending Chapter 255 zoning, 255-11-67A-10, additional regulations, and to 255-11-10-3, residential districts, table of dimensional regulations, Part 2. Town board held public hearing on December 18th to consider a local law for the amendment of zoning, Chapter 255, 255-167A-10, additional regulations, and Chapter 255 zoning, Section 255-11-10-3, residential districts of zoning regulations, gross floor area for maximum residences. Whereas after considering the proposed local law and all comments received at the time, the town board believes that the adoption is in the best interest of the town. And this is just a little explanation of what this is. Section 1, findings and objectives. On December 5th, the town board adopted Resolution 2024-1514, adopting local law 24 of 2024, which among other things amended the maximum gross floor area, single-family residence. The change was reflected in 255-11-68-10 and the dimensional regulations. The change was not reflected in the table of dimensional regulations, Part 2. So this is to, the nature of this resolution and the public hearing what they had is just to clarify and have consistent the new GFA regulations throughout these two sections of the town code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 244 is to pay out upon termination.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 226-245 is to authorize attendance at the New York State GFOA 2026 conference, and this is for Neji Valera in an amount not to exceed $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
246 is to authorize employee training in the police department for Sergeant Ryan Fink and Sergeant Patrick Royal, and this financial impact is not to exceed $3,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
247 is a payout upon resignation for Samantha Klein. Samantha Klein has resigned her full-time position as the town's intergovernmental relations coordinator with the finance department effective December 1st, and audited time records indicate that she has accrued vacation balance and compensatory balance. So we are cutting a check for a gross total payout of $10,146.66. And we want to thank Sam for her service to our community.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
248 is to retain P. Edward Reale as special counsel to the Town Housing Department for 2026 in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
249 is to retain outside counsel Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP in the matter of Ellis versus the Town of East Hampton 2026 in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
250 is to retain LK McLean Associates DPC. This is for engineering services for toxic and hazardous materials storage site operating permit renewals at select sites, and this totals $5,760.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
251 is to retain LK McLean Associates DPC for engineering services for the painting of airport equipment for a total cost not to exceed $17,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
252 is a payout upon resignation for Dylan Evgy Dylan Evgy has resigned from his full-time position as an airport attendant with the East Hampton Town Airport effective December 15th. Time records indicate that he has overused his personal time, and the finance office will contact him to request a payment in the amount of $17.43.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
253 is a notice to bidders EH 26006. This is for the supply and delivery of Jet A with additive and 100 low lead fuel for the airport. The bid is available January 22nd and due back February 12th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
254 is a notice to bidders EH 26004. This is to rebuild an engine on the police dive vessel. The bid is available January 22nd and due back February 12th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
255 is to amend Resolution 2026-53. This is setting the rates for traffic control officers for their first through fifth years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
256 is to amend a resolution 2026-85. This is for 2026 part-time rates. This is for Trevor Darrell, our assistant town attorney.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
257 is to amend resolution 2026-148, police department training. Police Officer James Gisa is authorized to attend the crash management training with a financial impact not to exceed $4,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
258 is to appoint full-time airport attendant to East Hampton Town Airport, Patrick Guerrero, at an annual salary of $53,958.94 for a 40-hour work week effective January 26th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
259 is a list appointment from provisional to account clerk, Spanish speaking, for David Alvarez, and this is at no change in hourly rate or budget account effective retroactive to January 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
260 is the 2026 budget modification for the Part Town Fund. This is for rent and common charges pursuant to approval by the town board. The town will lease office space located at 300 Panago Place, Suite 110. We're looking to increase the revenue budget line of safety inspection fees in the amount of $90,000 and $90,002, and we're increasing expenditure budget lines for rent and common charges in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
261 is the 2026 budget modification for the building department for outside professional costs. We're increasing the revenue budget line for safety inspection fees in the amount of $75,000 and increasing the expenditure line for outside professional in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me just take a sip of water, please. Resolution 2026-262. This is to create and appoint members to the Latino Advisory Committee for 2026. Whereas the town board is committed to ensuring that Latino residents have equitable access to town information and services, meaningful opportunities to participate in civic life, and a consistent voice in local decision-making, and that participation is accessible regardless of language, immigration status, or socioeconomic background. And whereas the town board desires to create the Latino Advisory Committee as a structured, nonpartisan advisory body that elevates Latino voices within the town of East Hampton and ensures those voices are meaningfully considered in local decision-making. And whereas the mission of the Latino Advisory Committee shall be to build trust between the town and the Latino community by creating safe, accessible, and transparent pathways for communication, education, and civic engagement, particularly for individuals and families who may feel excluded or vulnerable under the current national political climate. Through consistent dialogue, public accountability, and community-informed recommendations, support policies and practices that strengthen the town of East Hampton as a whole, recognizing diversity as a source of resilience, stability, and shared growth. And whereas the goals of the Latino Advisory Committee are to advise the town supervisor and town board on issues that directly affect the quality of life, safety, and economic stability of Latino residents in East Hampton, increase trust and civic participation by educating the Latino community about how local government works through accessible bilingual communication and outreach, promote equitable access to town resources, information, and services, particularly for immigrant, and mixed status families. Serve as a consistent channel for community-informed recommendations with clear follow-up and public accountability. Support economic fairness within the town by identifying barriers and enforcement gaps that disproportionately impact Latino workers and business owners while affecting the broader local community. Collaborate thoughtfully with town departments, advisory boards, and community organizations while maintaining the committee's independence and nonpartisan role. Create leadership development opportunities that prepare Latino community members for long-term civic engagement and service beyond the committee itself. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby creates the East Hampton Town Latino Advisory Committee. We appoint the members, including those that will serve ex officio.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I have Resolution 2026-263, which is to authorize attendance at New York State Association of Towns Justice Department. Whereas town justices are required by law to attend training, whereas the justices requested that 2 justice court clerks attend the 2026 training school and annual meeting of the Association of Towns being held in New York City. Be it resolved that Town Justice David L. Filer and 2 justice court clerks are hereby authorized to attend the training, which takes place February 15th through February 17th, and be it further resolved that all allowable expenses will be paid from the appropriate budget account, which is travel, conference, and dues. The financial impact is not to exceed $4,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-264 is to accept proposal for H2M for professional consulting services, plan review, and zoning compliance services, whereas the town board received a proposal from H2M architects and engineers to provide professional consulting services for plan review and zoning compliance services for various residential and commercial type construction projects. Be it resolved that the town board hereby retains H2M architects and engineers from their proposal dated January 26, 2026, and the exceeding amount is not to exceed $45,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 2026-265, and that's to increase the cap for Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP in the matter of Ellis versus the Town of East Hampton, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $29,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we make a motion to go into exec, I just wanted to say that the town of East Hampton is preparing for the winter storm that's forecasted for Sunday into Monday, with coordination already underway across our departments. Deputy Supervisor David Lisa, myself, along with Highway Superintendent Steve Lynch, our Town Administrator Becky Hansen, and teams from the Town Police Department, Marine Patrol, Highway, and Parks and Building Maintenance came together this morning to review plans and ensure crews are aligned ahead of deteriorating conditions. Highway crews are preparing for plowing and treatment operations, and public safety officials are coordinating staffing and response protocols. If conditions warrant, the town may implement road closures and travel advisories to protect public safety and allow crews to work efficiently. So what we're asking our community members to do, if the snow starts coming down hard on Sunday into Monday, please stay off the roads. Please do not park your roads on public streets, so that your cars on public streets, so that our plows can work and get the roads cleared expeditiously.
Agreed. Madam Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel and real estate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you, Matthew, at LTV.
You got
Have a
it.
great
Good
night.
evening. 6:46, pretty good.
Yeah.